Welcome to Ulterior Moto, your home for writers' reviews and how-tos. Today is a review on mirror block-off plates. Now, technically, they're really not all that necessary. You can use zip ties like I have here just for this mock-up, and I have had to use them on one occasion. They work just fine. They're actually not that bad. You just cut them off, throw them out when you need it, replace them. They're cheap. They do the job, but be honest, they do look like crap. So I got a couple options here I'm going to review. One is the LighTech brand block-off plates, and I've got these plates from Driven. They each come in a variety of colors. I think they do look pretty cool since I do have a little bit of red accents on this. I like it. So they're a little bit different in the way they install. Let's check out the pros and cons on each. There are a few things that are immediately noticeable and difference between these two. The LighTech, true to its name, is very thin. It is a much lighter part than the Driven Racing part. It's got kind of an interesting contour to it. You can see some of the machine lines are still in there, which is kind of a cool feature actually. It looks pretty cool. Driven does something similar. It's a bit more geometric in the texture on it, and a bit more dramatic, and it is definitely thicker for sure. You can see it's, in places it's probably 5 times as thick as the LighTech. For better or worse, I don't know. Let's find out. The other thing is the way that they mount. So the LighTech requires that you use their hardware, which is nice that they provide that for you, to go into these threaded bosses. They also provide the gasket between the block-off plate and the bodywork. Also very cool. What you get with the Driven is what you see right here. So there's no hardware that comes with it, no gaskets. The expectation is that you reuse those things from your existing bodywork. Now, based on my experience with the LighTech, and this comparison isn't born purely out of curiosity, it is born out of necessity. What I found was I was losing screws kind of frequently with the LighTech. I would fortunately find them either on the floor in my garage or the belly pan on the bike. However, there was one incident where I lost both of them at the same time, and the whole thing went flying off while I was at the track, which fortunately went off track and not at somebody behind me. I would have felt terrible about that. So yeah, these do have a habit of working their way loose, and they're kind of hard to get to as well with an Allen, because you do start to get close to the gauges and whatnot. So if you're going to go this route, I would recommend using thread lock. The only downside about that is really if you have a race bike, you're probably taking the body work off on a kind of regular basis. So using thread lock over and over on these 4 screws, I don't know, it just seems tedious to me. So with that in mind, the direction I'm going here with the Driven, even if they did provide me with nuts, I would replace them with these nylock style nuts. So that's what I'm going to use mounting these, so that I don't have to worry about thread locker. Yeah, I could just reuse that nut over and over. All right, so let's fit these things to the bike, and I can kind of demonstrate what works, what doesn't, pros and cons. Again, let's mount them up, see what happens. I've cut the zip tie off of there, left it on the other side so it holds on, but we have to line up our holes in the bodywork and the fairing stay perfectly. And it's a little easier to say than actually do. Then get our hardware in there, starting at the front, of course. And you can see there's not a lot of space in there. Of course, this isn't a stock configuration, right? Maybe the Gixxer is better, maybe it's worse. Not too difficult, but like I said, if you're doing this and you're going to leave these on, you're going to want to put some thread lock on there. It takes a 3mm Allen. And normally I use the T-handle Allens, but there's just not enough space in here to do that. Now these don't actually bottom out against the boss that you're threading into, so it's kind of hard to know like how much pressure to put on there. How tight is tight enough before you start, possibly doing damage. But it takes a bit, especially when you're only going like a half a turn at a time at best. There we go. All right, we'll cut off the zip tie on the other side and install the driven. It's always the second one that's a little more challenging. For this one, I've got my 10mm wrench handy. I want to make sure I get those bosses all the way through, and I can tell they're not just yet. So after wrestling with this a bit, not being able to get it through, I decided to take a couple measurements. So here is the width of the boss. That's a 0.446 inch boss. Now let's measure one of the holes. Now I'm using this one because it's larger on the body, so I can get right to the hole on the fairing stay. .400. So this would never fit. The only thing I could do is drill out the holes. And if this was a stock street bike that I was going to put mirrors back on, there's no way I would do that just for block-off plates. Well, there you have it. That was a decisive win. I bought the driven because I thought they were going to be an improvement over the LighTech. LighTech having fallen off on me several times, or just nearly fallen off on me several times. Thought maybe the studded design would be superior, but you can't get very far if you can't actually install the product. So with that, we have our decisive win for LighTech. Well, I hope you learned something from this. I hope you saved a few bucks. I know I did not. But if you like it, please like the video. And if you like these videos at all, subscribe. I'm making them about once a week now, so there's always fresh content coming. So, all right, thank you very much, and ride smart.